September 26, 2022. Deep beneath the freezing, pitch-black waters of the Baltic Sea, a synchronized sequence of high-pressure explosions permanently severed the most debated energy lifeline in modern European history, the Nord Stream 1. Billions of dollars of steel and concrete were ripped open in a matter of seconds. An invisible, high-stakes underwater operation had just pulled off the most audacious geopolitical sabotage of the 21st century. Today we are unpacking the classified mechanics of the Nord Stream pipeline breach. You will find out how a tiny crew of elite divers fooled international intelligence, why the world initially pointed fingers at all the wrong superpowers, and how a seemingly ordinary rented sailboat became the command center for a mission that changed global energy politics forever. Before we get to the actual operation, you have to understand the sheer scale of the target. Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 were massive twin pipelines running directly from Russia to Germany. They were the main arteries supplying a massive 40% percentage of Europe's natural gas need. For years, Western intelligence agencies viewed these pipes not just as energy infrastructure, but as a geopolitical weapon. When the conflict in Ukraine escalated, that weapon became a direct threat. The pipelines generated enormous revenue for Moscow while simultaneously keeping European nations highly dependent on Russian goodwill to keep their homes warm and their factories running. Taking those pipes off the board was a strategic dream for some, but actually doing it seemed completely impossible. They were built to withstand massive pressure, buried deep underwater, and monitored by modern tracking systems. We cannot officially sanction an operation of this magnitude against Allied infrastructure, a senior Ukrainian official warned quietly in a secure briefing room during the early phases of the energy crisis. We do not need a public sanction. We just need those pipes out of the equation, a Ukrainian intelligence covert operative countered, leaning over a table covered in nautical maps. And so, a plan was born. But when the structural breach actually happened in September, the immediate aftermath was pure chaos. Governments panicked. The media spun wild theories. European leaders suspected a Russian false flag operation, arguing that Moscow wanted to intimidate Europe by showing they could destroy critical infrastructure at will. Others pointed fingers at the United States, digging up old press conferences and claiming American special forces had executed a covert strike to force Europe off Russian gas. The Baltic Sea was crawling with military vessels, surveillance planes, and intelligence officers looking for stealth submarines and high-tech naval warships. But the truth was far more grounded and, quite frankly, much more embarrassing for European security agencies. The perpetrators did not use a billion-dollar nuclear submarine. They used a rented tourist boat. On September 6, 2022, a group of individuals walked into a yacht charter company in Rostock, Germany. They rented a 15-meter Bavaria C-50 sailing yacht named the Andromeda. Renting a basic commercial sailboat for a massive international covert strike is a lot like using a rented minivan for a high-speed pursuit. It sounds completely absurd, but strategically, it was brilliant. A military vessel stands out on radar and draws immediate suspicion. A chartered yacht full of people who look like tourists blends right into the endless stream of recreational traffic in the Baltic Sea. "You are taking her out towards Rügen in this weather?" the dockmaster asked, eyeing the heavy gray clouds gathering offshore as the crew loaded their supplies. "We have a very specific route planned. Just a simple holiday," the skipper replied smoothly, handing over a meticulously forged Bulgarian passport. The crew consisted of just 6 people, 5 men and 1 woman. According to German investigators, this tight-knit unit included a coordinator, a highly skilled skipper, specialized deep-sea divers, and an explosives expert. They loaded heavy bags onto the Andromeda, disguised as regular sailing provisions, and set off into the open water. Their target was an area near the Danish island of Bornholm. But navigating a boat to the right coordinates was the easy part. The real challenge was the dive itself. The Nord Stream pipelines were sitting between 70 and 80 meters below the surface. This is not casual recreational scuba diving. At 80 meters, the ocean wants to crush you. The water is pitch black and freezing cold. You cannot simply breathe compressed air at that depth without suffering fatal nitrogen narcosis. The divers required specialized technical gas mixtures, heavy thermal protection, and serious decompression protocols just to survive. On top of keeping themselves alive, they had to manually transport heavy military-grade charges down to the seabed and secure them to the steel pipes in total darkness.
Check the pressure valves on the hexagon charges. Serhiy instructed his lead diver over the hum of the boat engine, double-checking the heavy equipment on the deck. "We only get one window at this depth before the current drags us right off the target," the diver responded, adjusting the heavy valves on his specialized gas tanks. They dropped into the abyss. Using their technical training, the divers located the pipelines, which were massive concrete-coated steel tubes lying on the ocean floor. They attached at least 4 explosive charges, weighing between 14 and 27 kilograms each, along the structure. These were not homemade devices. They used octagen and hexagon, highly stable and exceptionally powerful military explosives. After securing the devices and setting the timers, they had to begin the agonizingly slow ascent back to the surface, waiting at specific depths for long periods to let the inert gases safely leave their bloodstreams. They executed this flawless deep-water infiltration not once, but multiple times, rigging 3 of the 4 main pipes for total destruction. Once the team was safely away, the charges were triggered. The resulting explosions were so massive they registered on seismographs in Sweden and Denmark as seismic events. The pipes were ripped open, releasing massive plumes of trapped natural gas that churned the surface of the ocean into a boiling cauldron. You would think an operation of this magnitude, executed with such precision by Ukrainian intelligence, would leave absolutely zero trace. You would expect these operatives to vanish like ghosts into the ether. But here is where the story shifts from a high-stakes thriller into a masterclass in forensic blunder. They left the boat completely unwashed. Leaving military-grade explosive residue on your getaway vehicle is roughly the equivalent of robbing a bank and leaving your wallet on the teller's counter. So, how did the German police even know to look for this specific boat? In the weeks following the explosions, Western intelligence agencies were scrambling. The CIA eventually passed a tip to Germany's Federal Criminal Police Office based on information originally sourced from Dutch military intelligence. The tip indicated that a sailboat was involved in the sabotage. To avoid causing panic or alerting the suspects, German investigators quietly started calling boat rental companies in Rostock and the surrounding coastal towns one at a time. Eventually, they zeroed in on a company called Mola Yachting, which had rented out the Andromeda. In January 2023, 13 law enforcement officials, including crime scene investigators and explosives experts, showed up at the Mola Yachting offices. The boat was sitting on blocks in a winter storage yard. The investigators got incredibly lucky. The rental company had not thoroughly cleaned the boat before storing it for the winter, and the saboteurs were the last people to charter the vessel. They did not even scrub the cabin floor, a German federal investigator noted, shining a black light over the wooden boards of the yacht. It is either extreme arrogance, or they simply ran out of time to cover their tracks, his partner replied, carefully bagging a sample from the table. When the federal police brought bomb-sniffing dogs on board, they hit the jackpot. Investigators found substantial traces of the exact octogen and hexogen explosives used in the blasts, right there on the wooden table below decks, and even on the toilet. They also found a plastic bottle with Polish labeling left behind in the sink, and a single barefoot-style shoe beneath the map table. With physical evidence in hand, the German authorities started piecing together the digital and physical trail.
This is where the modern digital footprint destroyed their cover story. German detectives analyzed mobile phone traffic and uncovered the emails sent to the Polish travel agency that leased the Andromeda. United States authorities actually helped the Germans secure a court order to obtain those specific emails from Google. The investigators identified the crew's mobile phone numbers and tracked the pings from their Iridium satellite phone, allowing them to reconstruct the boat's entire journey across the Baltic Sea. Slowly, the ghosts became real people. But the absolute final nail in the coffin was something so mundane it is almost hilarious. The German investigators did not crack the identities of the dive team using sophisticated submarine sonar or classified satellite imagery. They got their biggest visual clue from a traffic camera. One of the key suspects, a Ukrainian diving instructor identified as Volodymyr Z, was captured by a routine speed camera while driving a rented van on a German highway on the way to the island of Rügen, where the yacht was temporarily moored. A multi-million-dollar covert operation aimed at severing the energy ties between Europe and Russia was compromised because a highly trained covert operative drove a little too fast and got a speeding ticket. Coordinating a massive underwater bombing only to get busted by a traffic camera is like successfully hacking the Pentagon but forgetting to clear your browser history. Using this photograph, the phone data, and the forged documents, the German Federal Public Prosecutor's Office built a massive case. They mapped out the entire network. In August 2025, Italian police arrested one of the key coordinators in the province of Rimini. Another major suspect managed to slip back across the border into Ukraine, effectively dodging the international dragnet after Poland delayed an arrest warrant. The official government in Kyiv has continuously denied any state involvement in the Nord Stream operation. They maintain that there is no established evidence that authorized institutions or higher leadership issued formal directives for the sabotage. However, the German indictments and the overwhelming physical evidence point directly to a highly trained faction within Ukrainian military intelligence acting on a rogue imperative. The consequences of this operation are still rippling across the globe. It forced Germany and the rest of Europe to permanently pivot away from Russian natural gas, completely restructuring the global energy market in the span of a few months. A small team of 6 people on a rented sailboat managed to achieve a strategic victory that entire armies and decades of diplomatic sanctions could not accomplish. They severed the physical tie between 2 global powers. But despite all the elite diving skills, the military-grade explosives, and the flawless execution deep beneath the ocean's surface, they failed to wipe down a table and ignored the local speed limit. A multi-million-dollar covert strike that changed world history, unraveled by a simple traffic ticket. Thanks for watching this video. For similar stories, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.